The movement of traffic and the income from the daily commute on the Paradise Island Bridge also impacted by COVID-19. Our Lloyd Allen is live with representatives of the Bridge Authority.
Yes, good morning, Makushla. Well, of course, we know around this time of morning across the nation, the bridge is a busy time on a normal day. But as a result of COVID-19, according to officials, they say that traffic on the bridge is being cut down more than 95%. Speaking with us on the details is Chairman of the Bridge Authority Board, Mr. Gregory Bonamy. Good morning, Mr. Bonamy. And talk to us about how business has been over the last 2 months.
Good morning, Lloyd. Good morning, Bahamas. As Mr. Lloyd has said, we are been reduced to almost no traffic on the bridge except for our PI residents. Those of us who are left in the properties that are closed due to tourism downturn. And, you know, like I said, 95% fall off. Revenue, traffic, you can imagine.
Now, obviously, this cut in revenue has put a serious strain on your business. What are you doing to minimize the effects of this cutback in your total sales?
Well, our predecessors to us, this board, a number of things have been put in place and by ourselves. I have here with me my general manager who can speak specifically to what things are in place in terms of revenue generation during this downturn. But we are good. No staff furlough, no staff layoffs. All benefits are in place, and we can fetch for a little while.
So, Mr. Anthony Smith, you're the general manager here. Talk to us about, as Mr. Bonamy was alluding, obviously a 95% cut in your total collections. But again, talk to us about some of those measures that are in place to help the bridge weather the storm.
Good morning, Mr. Lloyd. Good morning, Bahamas. Thank you for this opportunity. One of the things we are able to do is we can go back into our reserves, right? Fortunately, for the last several years, we have been able to accumulate reserves that we're now able to call on. However, before we get into our reserves, we had 3 good months of activity. So at the moment, we're drawing down on the revenues that we generated in the first 3 months. That'll take us forward in terms of payroll for the staff for the next 3 to 4 months before we have to cut into the reserves that we have set aside.
Now, I know across the board, many companies and many organizations are saying about a 3-month period is being given to allow health officials to really clamp down on this issue of COVID-19. In the interim, though, I know the last time we spoke, we talked about an essay competition that you were initiating for students across the country for the naming of the second bridge. Give us an update on that process as well.
Since actually what has happened is the deadline for turning in those submissions coincided actually with the day the shutdown took place, which is March 20th. So since then, because of the social distancing requirements, the subcommittee that's reviewing the submissions have not had an opportunity to meet. As we come out of the COVID-19 shutdown, that will be one of the first activities that we look at. We had over 400 submissions for that competition.
And my final question this morning, either of you can answer this. Obviously, there are several dozen residents on the island here. Are there any specific measures that are in place to help ensure security for those persons who remain on the island, of course, in the absence of staff for the major hotels that are here?
We have our own security here at the toll plaza offices and the bridges itself. But the protocols that have been put in place during the curfew times and the lockdown times, we afford our PI residents and persons who have to traverse the bridges to work at the various properties during the downturn. Mr. Smith and his team have protocols where there's access to and fro without having to charge persons and on the weekends and overnight. So we're kind of like on a skeleton crew, and that's waking up pretty good.
All right, well, some startling information there. Of course, as the nation continues to watch, we here too continue to observe conditions, hopefully for the better as we nationally move through this issue of COVID-19. Reporting here from the Bridge Authority, Paradise Island, Lloyd Allen for the Morning Edition.